On today's episode of Watch Jaguar, we are here with my latest mistake. It's Easter, so happy Easter, and I can't wait to show you guys everything about it. What is going on, guys? I am Watch Jaguar, and today I am here with my new to me, some random year Dodge Ram 1500. And the other day there was a debate where somebody said this is the ugliest truck ever made. And you know what? I kind of really agree with them. It is a truck with no redeeming qualities other than a pretty solid powertrain. I know I'm coming right out of the gate with a hot take there, but if you don't believe me, well, GM, obviously I'm a huge Chevy guy, and they made everything from this era, and it was awesome, right? The GMT 400, then the GMT 800, amazing trucks that ran forever with the best engine that was ever made. Like, that's undebatable that the LS lasts longer and is cheaper to maintain than the other two options. Now, this truck is powered by the 5.9 that many people love, and I think it's a pretty solid engine. Anything's better than Ford's engines from these eras, other than the 4.6. The 4.6 was a great engine. That thing, it just didn't seem to die, no matter what you did. So there was one good Ford engine option. Now this thing, I think the 5.2 was pretty reliable. The 5.9 was very reliable, and this is powered by that. It's four-wheel drive. It's got a new automatic transmission in it because all these transmissions are trash, just like GM's 4Ls. And then you can couple that with the fact that this truck just doesn't look that great. I mean, this one is a terrible example. I am not using this example as my bar for how this truck looks, but you know, I don't really love the big stepped fender. It's just a weird looking truck. The grill that's attached to the hood, so it makes it kind of a pain to open, and they break. Like, obviously this one's broken like they all are. What is this? Look at that. Somebody made screws out of a all thread with a nut on it, apparently. We got diamond plate Dodge here in the front. It goes right along with every other second gen. Yellowed corner markers there. All the clear coat missing. All of it. Every single panel on this thing has missing clear coat. The side moldings are missing, and of course all the leftover double-sided tape is flaking off of there. Let's see. Oh, well, that one doesn't want to open. I thought it was unlocked. The bed's all beat up. This is just a bad example, but hey, it is a four-wheel drive, it is lifted, it is on 20s, even though these are very cheap wheels. When I was talking to the previous owner about it, he said it was on expensive wheels and tires. It's on $200 a pop wheels and $150 a pop tires. They're just Nitto NT 420s. Nothing special there at all. The one thing it does have going for it is there's no through rust yet. The cab corners aren't gone yet. You can see it's got a couple little bubbles there, but we're not going to push through any of that. And of course we have the normal wear from rocks flying off the wheels here, and it all looks pretty good. There's no rust under this truck. It might not be pretty. Oh, look at that. It does have a good exhaust. It does sound good. Sounds great. The 5.9 is a great sounding engine. Anyway, let's keep going. We'll go on a tour of this completely broken truck. But first, I need to tell you guys how I acquired this. I traded straight across for my nice 2003 Jag S-Type. I was having trouble selling the Jag, obviously. I was only asking $4 grand. That's exactly what I had in it. And instead of asking less, I figured it's a lot easier to sell a truck. I may have made a mistake. This truck might be pretty hard to sell, especially as we keep going and I show you guys everything that's wrong with it. And today, in the same video, we're gonna fix everything that's wrong with it for the most part. I gotta get it all working, and then we'll never see this again. I want this thing out of my sight. So, no clear on the hood. The front grille is all destroyed there. It's clearly been in a collision. The hood's pushed in. I don't know, maybe they dropped a branch on that or something. But that is absolutely ruined. It's a little bit hard to shut the hood, but it does shut and lock. It actually doesn't shake or anything at speed, so there's that. It's got that going for it. The Ram badges here are gone, the 1500 and the V8. I think it said Magnum if they were 5.9s. I don't really remember. It might just be a typical old V8. Another fun thing is this door handle's missing, so we're gonna need those. I'll just reach inside. Yeah, I've got needle nose in the center console there so we can get in. But we're gonna have to fix this today. I'm pretty sure this door's been changed or something, because that's just strange. Absolutely weird. The seat is completely gone. It's really hard to even see over the wheel in this because 3 inches of padding is just missing. The seat's just destroyed in this thing. This is a 2000, so it's got that going for it. It's not terribly old. We got tweeters and the pillars there. 200,000 miles on the clock. It looks like it shows up in that little display, but it's not on. A steering wheel cover that needs to go, but let's see. The steering wheel probably looks horrible. I've seen worse. I might leave the steering wheel cover, but it sure is a terrible cover. All the seatbelt buckles were turned around on the seatbelts. The trim is missing on this seat, which is pretty wild. Headliner missing. This is actually the exposed foam that is under the headliner. The doors open wonderfully, so it's got that going for it. Oh, oil-soaked napkins and a bunch of oil on the floor mats back here. This is one of the worst things in the whole car. That is live. That is 12 volts straight from the battery. And the guy I bought it from, I was like, hey, don't ever do this again. You'll end up burning your own car down. The fuse is where the amp needs to go. So that fuse should be in the engine bay. 13 inches, that's the rule. 13 inches of the battery. That should keep you from burning your car down. This one is set up to catch on fire, especially if the wire ever gets chafed through the hole that he used right up in there. Oh yeah, you can see the hole right there. You can actually see the wire coming through. So anyway, if that ever cuts through, it'll just instantly catch on fire because it's a short to ground. A good short to ground too. Anyway, that's the back seat looks pretty clean. I'll give it credit there. I didn't even need to mention it. The dash is absolutely gone. There is no dash left. This is one of those cheap, like $50 dash covers. And it sort of fits, just like all of them sort of fit. The actual dash bezel, trash. The head unit doesn't turn on even though it's powered on currently. You can see the lights are on, which that doesn't make any sense. It's definitely all hooked up wrong. So some of this is, you know, ownership, and some of this is the fact that the second gen Dodge is a bad truck. Like the dash, that's not the owner. The mirrors broke over there. Power windows do work. All the doors open. That seatbelt needs fixed as well. It's on there backwards. Look at all this. Seals gone. The seals are typically gone because people drag their feet when they get in. You can see the door's been rubbing there or someone's foot, but I'd say that's the door because it's nice shiny metal. We can find out. Oh, look at that. The bottom of the door actually looks pretty okay. So maybe all that wear is just people getting in and out. Steering box is absolutely trash. Look at this. I can move the wheel that much, and it's like suggesting to the tire that it turns. So when you're driving down the road, absolutely sketchy. That's kind of typical of these things. I'd say it looks like the drag link or the track bar, one of the two, drag link, track bar. One of those is toast, and the steering box is probably toast as well, as per usual on these trucks. It's clearly had some pushed in damage right there. That looks pretty rough. This thing was set up for a fifth wheel. Check it out, we got the fifth wheel slide rails in there. So that's actually nice, and it did come with this toolbox. So I'm not upset about that toolbox. It looks like it was a Delta. It actually opens. We've got some rebar in there, and there's the lug key. And other than that, look at that, there's the key. It is a Delta. That's not the worst toolbox. The hood strut's missing for it though, as you'd expect. Oh, this side has the badge. This is a Laramie SLT, so it does have, you know, a couple of options. I don't know what those options would be. It has air conditioning, power windows. It doesn't even have power four-wheel drive. Maybe it had a nice radio. It sure didn't get the nice seats. So I'd say this is, it's a pretty typical spec for 2000, but these days this would be a work truck. It's real hard to drive this thing too. It is all over the road. Anyway, let's go clean this mess up. We're gonna jump right in and fix everything we can. My goal is to make the radio work, get the system wiring out of here before it catches on fire. And you know, the oil's actually pretty recent. Transmission was replaced 10,000 miles ago. Like I said, every one of them has had a new transmission. And he said something else had been replaced. Can't really remember what it was, but it was pretty important. Oh, he said the entire front end had been replaced, and no one knows what that means. Did, like, all of the suspension? Did they replace the bars? Did they press in new bushings? Who knows? But whatever they did not do a good job. The brakes are rough in the front. They've already got lips on them, you know. They probably can't even be turned at this point. And unless you pay like $15,000 for one of these, this is the condition they are all in. I promise you guys, the nostalgia is really expensive, these are just junk. So many people will disagree, hate this opinion. Obviously, I did tell you in the beginning, I'm a big GM guy. At least when those are junk, they'll keep running forever. And this one, honestly, it's got an okay powertrain. It's a good engine. It's not the worst transmission. Just plan on doing one every 100,000 miles. And it'll probably get you around. This truck does have one thing going for it, and it's kind of cool. A lot of times these were cable-driven mirror controls, and there'd be one on each side if they were the cable ones. And of course, this replaced the horrible one that Dodge had before, which was the little stick. Everybody had the little joystick. Now this is the joystick, but it's up here, so it's like a heavy-duty joystick. There's right. And the mirrors actually work. All the power stuff still works. So I'll give them credit for that. All the power stuff holds up. That is the funniest part of every car. You get all the boomers on every post, like, oh, these electronics are gonna break. And the electronics never break. It's always the same things. It's the transmission and the engine. And if an electronic thing breaks, it's never anything important. It's like, oh, the radio didn't start up today, so we'll run by the dealership and have them like flash it and it works. None of the power stuff really ever breaks. Power windows, wear items, but nothing else. It's some weird assumption from people that don't work on cars, and they're always saying that the more electronics the car gets, the worse it is. And the reality is it's always the same thing. It's the engine and the transmission. That's all you got to worry about. All right, how do you get the dash out of one of these? I know I've probably done one in my life, but it looks like the usual, just like GM's dash. Sorry about the dinging. Look at that, it just falls right out because Dodge dash. Come on. There's only one fastener left. There it goes. Didn't break it. This is the most resilient part too. I don't know why the rest of the dash isn't made out of whatever this is, because on all the trucks from this era, everything's broken except the bezel. We got one screw holding that in. The other one's missing there. I think we're gonna find a disaster. Ha! Look at that. I wasn't wrong. The preamp wires are junk for that head unit. Okay, what are we missing here? Illumination, we got, that should be ignition, this is constant power. Ground is the ground. Huh. He told me nothing was wrong with this, but it might actually be dead. Somebody flipped the tabs for the bottom to hold the head unit in, and they didn't flip the top ones. So it's just, it was going like this going down the road, and I wondered what was wrong. It's just not installed. We've got our meter. Time to figure out what's going on with this head unit, because obviously everybody wants working music if they're buying a car. We do have 12 volts from the battery. Let's see what's going on with our ignition then. We'll try the actual ground in the harness here as well, make sure all of that's good. We got 12 volts there, and the ignition is currently on, so we have 12 volts there. I think this head unit's just trash. That guy made up a lot of stories. Hey, I got it to turn back on. We got static at least. And it's funny, it turned on while I was playing with his amp wire. I would assume his turn on is shorted somewhere under the carpet or something like that. So we're gonna rip all this out of here. You can hear the amp turn on under the dash. Problem solving. The hood doesn't have the safety release on it. I guess they got tired of fighting the main release and then opening the safety that's supposed to be right here. So they just ripped it all out. This is part of the safety right there. And they bent down the tab that it engages, and now it just opens up if you pull the lever. That is super dangerous. How insanely dumb. Just like this. And I'm gonna go grab a different socket, and we're gonna get this off of here immediately so there's no fire hazard. All right, we got that amp power wire out of here. Just tossed it over here now that it's unhooked. Shouldn't touch anything from there. Put the cover back on it, and don't worry, he used the wrong nut to attach it to the battery as well. It's actually stripped out. Also, we've got a junk cold air intake over here, pulling probably hot air straight out of the hood. Does need valve cover gaskets. So that's the condition of our engine there. Let's head back inside. Well, the chances of this truck catching on fire have gone down dramatically. Obviously, that battery wire is unhooked until somebody in the future who wants to put a system back in it wants to move that fuse. And all the electrical tape is out from underneath the dash. I cut it all out, threw it all away. We built it way better very quickly. Take a look at that. Everything is solder and seal, so it's all soldered and heat shrunk. and it's serviceable as well because the negative can be disconnected. It's not hardwired like it was. What's funny is these connectors don't actually have a ground in them, not one bit. It definitely comes out of that one wire. I checked. This one goes to nothing. So we also added a bullet connector so they can unhook the amp turn on if they want. And let's put this head unit back. That back speaker doesn't sound great, but tweeters work, door speakers work. I cleaned up the dash, double-sided taped the dash back down. The interior of this thing is basically ready to go now. We need to head to O'Reilly's, get this door handle. We got to get that sorted out today, get this thing washed, and I should be finished with this truck. This is such a second-gen owner thing to do. If you guys check this out, I got to open the door, right? Which is honestly really hard to do without the needle nose. Sometimes I can do it. I can't do it this time, I tried. We are here at O'Reilly's to hopefully buy the door handle. Usually they have this one and that old plastic Chevy door handle in stock. So apparently those things break a lot on the Dodge and the Chevy and probably the Ford too. It's a weird era because Ford also had that big bar one with the little thumb thing. It's got a little dot for your thumb. Anyway, hopefully it's in stock and we can get this thing sorted out tonight, because I've got a friend that's already on the way to pick this thing up. All right. What's going on, man?
Not much.
All right, we're going in the passenger side. But the guys at O'Reilly's want to see if the four-wheel drive works. And I was like, you know what? That's a good idea. Let's try it out. So we are going. I left this thing unlocked. Oh, that didn't work. There, we're in. We're going to try the four-wheel drive. Okay, so we're in. Too high apparently. Let's go ahead and shift to neutral and put this thing in. Well, that should be 4 high right there. I think it works. Can't tell if the front end was any heavier. Shows it's in four-wheel drive. Neutral, 2 high, neutral. Oop. And that's 4 low. Yep, it climbed right up on the parking stop. Neutral, 2 high. Pretty awesome. Manual four-wheel drive. There's something to be said about it. It simply works. So the one thing this truck has going for it, solid engine, might be leaking from everywhere. It's leaking from the front main. Valve covers are clearly leaking. You know, there's fluid all over the bottom of this thing, but the transmission is working because it was just rebuilt, and the four-wheel drive works. So let's go find a door handle. We got to drive across town now. I jumped in the parts runner. Obviously the i8 gets double the gas mileage that truck does, and we are headed all the way across town to the hub. Usually I do this stuff during the week and we can have a delivery immediately, but we're gonna hit another O'Reilly's, get that door handle, and we should be good to go. So there were none in the store. We are out of daylight, but we're also back from O'Reilly's with a door handle. Let me grab this for you guys. It is the Dorman 77640. If you've never done this door handle, you basically just snap 2 little rods into place, or well, 1 rod, and the other one goes to the key cylinder there, so we will have to move the key cylinder into this handle. Sorry if the shadows are a little weird. It's also just kind of a hard thing to see in general. So we got to get this door panel off. I haven't done one, at least I don't think, but I think there's a Phillips there, a Phillips there, and a Phillips there, and we should be basically ready to pull this door panel right on off of there. I brought some power tools to make this easy. Let's get after it. It is gonna be really hard for you guys to see what's going on and for me to see what's going on here. Well, we got one. Well, those came right out. This door pocket seems like it'll come off. Get this one here. It looks like those 3 screws are all we need to deal with here. There it goes. Okay, the trick for this door panel was forward, and obviously that works out because the handle comes out with it. So I ended up just dropping this, which is supposed to have a bunch of fasteners. It's kind of like a blow molded deal with like some old clips. Anyway, all of that was missing, and it was being held on by the pocket, which it felt pretty secure, so that actually works out. I just slid that through the hole for itself, and it came right out. So luckily this is still attached, which means we can throw the key in here and roll the window up. Once the window's up, we can change the handle. You will need your window up, obviously, because there's bolts that are like right here. Oh, right here and right here. And this door handle will look newer than the entire truck. That's the one downside of a brand new door handle. The truck looks rough and this door handle will look really, really new. Huh. This thing has a slide-in clip for the lock assembly. You just slide the lock in there and push this in. That's pretty cool. Can't beat that. I guess if you're gonna engineer your door handles to break like all of the 2000s trucks, at least they made them easy to replace. There's the old door handle and the fasteners we're gonna have to mess with. One of them is behind the track right there. And that one's gonna be a little bit harder to get to. Oh, look at that. It looks like they gave us an access hole. Pop out this little rubber plug and you can get right at it. All you have to do to change the lock cylinder in this thing is pop that out, toss that one on the ground, and then we'll slide this one here in and put back the little clip. It looks like what happened to this one, if I had to guess, is somebody didn't reinstall this clip. Once you put these two bolts in, you loosen up this Phillips, slide this down until it catches the door, and then tighten it back down, and it makes sure the handle can't rotate inside the door. So we are basically ready to go. I just have to slide this thing back into place and snap on both rods. We got to snap on the lock rod and the door open rod. Just a couple of short minutes later, you can see our new door handle completely installed. The lock's hooked back up, the door handle rod is hooked back up, and let's see, we should. First, our lock definitely works. We got all that sorted out, and if we close the striker here, we should be able to see that release as well. Here we go, we can finally test this thing out. We're using a 1/4 inch extension as our door striker there. You can see the door is now latched, and if we do one of these maneuvers here, it is open. So the door handle is fixed, both handles are working, the power locks are working, everything is good. So now all I need to do is put this thing back together, and this truck should be as good as it's gonna get, at least for now, until somebody feels like doing that ball joint that needs pressed out of the front end. At least they should be cheap. It's probably a $10 part, but a ton of work. And that should be it. Door panel's back on. We gotta actually lift on this handle. Boom. Well, that's a lot better than what came in this morning. I mentioned a friend of mine coming to check out this truck earlier, and he came while I was working on the door panel and brought another truck, and he was like, I'll tell you what, I just need to pull my camper. If you want this, I'll just give it to you for this. And you guys are gonna be surprised when you see what the other truck is. I was like, man, take this. I'll have it fixed in just a few more minutes and you're good to go. So this thing should pull his camper very well. It does have that solid. It does have a solid engine, and it does have a new transmission, so that'll last him about 100,000 miles, hopefully, very soon. This truck will turn into something that's a few years newer and has all of its paint, as long as everything works out. That is it for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to head on over to shop.watchjaguar.com for cool shirts, not like this, and please like, share, subscribe, do whatever you want to do, and I will talk to you next time. I'm still gonna wash this thing for him too. Tomorrow, I'll run it over to the car wash, get it all cleaned up, vacuum it out, and it should be a pretty nice place to be other than this driver's seat. The driver's seat, oh, it's so bad. It actually makes you feel short when you drive a truck. It's the next morning and the truck could use a bath after getting this bath. You can see more dirt has come out from underneath the dirt. But with that said, this thing looks way better with a quick bath. Cleaned everything up, vacuumed the inside, ooh, it's locked, and knocked that decal off the back window, degreased the bed quite a few times, and got that to where you can step in the bed without slipping on all the oil the guy left behind. And I think this thing is ready to go. I just got the text from my friend saying I'll be there tonight with the trade, and the trade, I think you guys are gonna love it. It's pretty cool, and it's kind of something I have right now. There we go, look at that. Little vacuuming, literally 30 minutes of work. The truck looks much better, other than that terrible driver's seat. Even the back looks a million times better. I left one M&M for the next owner. I could be nice and take it, I guess. If you leave one M&M seed in there, they grow. I think we've all experienced that, especially if you have kids. I'm sure you know all about M&M seeds. There you go, we finished up the back seat with fancy car detailer things. Got the belt pointing forward, all the slack hidden behind the seat. And yes, I did leave the wiring for that system there. I'm sure somebody will want to add it in the future because, you know, I set them all up so they're ready to just plug in some subs and move that fuse. They better move that fuse.